Lane switch, lanes wish was on the same, but my aim to take my name and brand it. Landry famous, handed down to generations. Don't have limitations. Preparing the fan for all the celebrations.
In the mirror with me, love myself, feeling free. G-O-D is inside of me. In the mirror with me, love myself, feeling free. G-O-D is inside of me. Most feel threatened by your presence. It's the God in you that keep you going. Down 10 times, get up 11 and you keep on going. Glow up, glow up, glow up, glow up, yeah, yeah. Glow up, glow up, glow up, glow up, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Kindness University of Autism, episode 14. This is Big Boxx
Lil Boxx.
Welcome back. He's sitting over here drawing into his thing. He's getting a lot of ideas, so when the creativity hit him, it hit him. I'm pulling him in with little questions and little remarks here and there, so he's just giving his banter. But as we move along, there's more and more you're going to basically be hearing from him, what he has to say as well, right?
Yes.
All right. So where we at now is we get into the aspect of him when he was in 3rd grade, to where we did have that initial sit-down meeting, and you know, I was doing our research on it at the time and looking into it, and you know, and I started looking into a lot of Dr. Umar videos and Rizal Islam videos when it comes to the spectrum and autism, and started saying like, okay, this is a real thing, but when they go towards the diagnosis, watch what they say, the verbiage they use, and what they try to place on it. And the thing was, I remember that was the meeting with Miss Perez, Miss Pooja, and Miss Raspy.
Yeah. So initially that started off with just a regular parent-teacher conference.
Yeah.
And his teacher at the time, Miss Perez, she, I appreciate her a lot because she did not come with, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Yeah. She honestly just kind of listened and talked to us. And it was just, she just mentioned that she had some concerns. She herself had a family member, I believe her brother, that was on the spectrum as well. And so because of that, I think she was able to pick up on some things, but her delivery was so gracious. She didn't come right out and say, this is what I think your son has. She just was like, how can I help you guys? She had noticed that year was actually the first time we had noticed any differences in his actually it was kind of his demeanor at school a little bit. Like, he had been doing really great the first couple of years, and then 3rd grade was a little bit more of a struggle academically. And so that's where the initial conversation started, was you know, in like one of his classes, I believe he was having a harder time staying focused in the class and completing some of the work. So the conversation really was about how to get him focused, what they could do, what we could do to help facilitate. And so from there, it was just a conversation that she and I had going back and forth. And then actually at that point, he wasn't even in speech yet. Yeah, it was from that conversation, then we started to have more conversations. And then I think that next meeting we had was with Miss Pooja and some of the other staff at the school, who suggested possibly evaluating him, because they had suggested that he get additional time for test taking. They said that he liked to take a break and walk around and stretch, and get out of his seat. And they accommodated it, but they were like, we think, in fact, prior teachers had suggested that he get the IEP to allot for that. But initially we didn't think he needed it, the IEP. just because we didn't understand that he would need to have extra time. Um, and also the way he was communicating with us was like he was fine in class.
Yeah,
That he wasn't having any issues.
I remember him really telling me back then that, like, we had a conversation before we got the IEP and everything. And I remember him talking, and he told me why. Like, basically, I was like, you got to do this, and he was like, why? Like, I'm not trying to do that. So to have that conversation with the third grade, he let me know, like, you do got to do better in this subject. And he like, why do I even need this subject?
Right.
And so to have a conversation with a third grader that really is that small, because we all know with school in America, some of the stuff that they, other than core basics of building on reading and math and science, a lot of the stuff, he was like, I'm not trying to do this in life. It's like basically, and I took it as, you know, like if he say, I want to be a farmer, why are you trying to teach me about astronomy? You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how he was in third grade. So that's how I kind of was like, huh. So a lot of those kind of things of conversations with him, we used to have the same way y'all see us conversate now, is how we were. And he used to say certain things to me to where it made me say, okay, all right, son, I'll look at it this way from your perspective. And I do that with all my kids to this day, just to see where they're coming from. But fast forwarded now, we do see why he got up, why he paced the floor and do all that, because that stuff he do to this day.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And at that time, we just literally did not know.
Have a understanding.
We didn't have any experience at all with that. Yeah. So she was kind of our first kind of introduction. And then from there, we were able to they set up like an evaluation through the school. Yeah. And I think, and I remember during that time I did speak to the pediatrician about it, and she was quite surprised because she did not pick up on anything. And she even said, you know, he hit all of his markers and all those things. And she did say that we could obviously set up an evaluation independent from the school as well. But we did do that. We went through the evaluation through the school, where they had, he would have meetings regularly with a psychiatrist through the school and other counselors that would help him with getting organized as far as his studies, but also getting a basis on whatever his needs were.
Yeah, because I remember they said the only reason he was able to do it was because of speech.
Right.
But that's how he ended up in speech therapy.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for his speech, he basically passed everything.
Right. They didn't find any other issue but the speech.
And that's the crazy thing is this, right? And then I don't want to have to always come to this, but I'm always come to this, is that with black boys, when they do get on the spectrum, they do need the resources and they do need everything. If his speech wasn't messed up, they'd have missed the whole mark with him. And now going into his teenage years now, where it's really visible and you really see it, now we would just be trying to have to adjust, basically approaching autism with a teenager. And you can't even fathom the things we have to go through his changes now. So imagine having to just make them adjustments and those changes if we wouldn't have made it, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Not 10 years ago, what? That is 8 years ago?
Yeah.
They have to make those changes 7, 8 years ago. Imagine making it now versus then. Man, that's a lot. You see what I'm saying? So that missed the marker. That's kind of like with my, rest in peace to my nephew Dewey, kind of like what my big sister said about my oldest nephew. He's no longer with us. And she said, like, if them people would have really caught and understood, he had when it was just referred to as Asperger's. And you know, like a lot of those things he had growing up, and he became an adult, a young black man with those things, really shaped his relationships socially, and that was a precursor to his demise in a sense. So it kind of make you look at it like that, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, you know, is because black boys becoming a man, and what we understand now is black teenagers in general, especially on the spectrum, their structure and what you're teaching them in their teenage years is basically their foundation and building blocks for them to
Oh,
carry out.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, and that's for any teenager in general, but
Yeah.
with those on the spectrum, it's basically their life, you know.
Right.
And basically, this is it for episode 14. This conversation is getting better and better as we move along, but basically, one life, one love, one God, be
Thanks for-
royalty.
Thanks for watching.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Boxx-A-Million.
Boxx-A-Million. Boxx-A-Million.
Mighty Lion of Judah.